slash chairman of the Wild Boys organization slash LLC.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Let's look to the past.
Okay.
So, how did you start the org? How did it come to be?
How did I start the org? Well, funny enough, one day I was sitting there with a group of friends at this place called Twin Peaks, and one of my friends mentioned Jinxie, and I was like, Jinxie, who the fuck is that? So they pulled up his Twitch, and we were watching him, and he said something about like a $50,000 like game. I was like, what? There's no way. So me going into Discord and going around, I went through the main R6 server on Discord, and then I got recruited by forgot what org it was, but some small org where me, Knight, and Toxic, or when we get farther into the podcast, they'll become relevant, recruited me to go play with them. Well, we joined this org together, and we were sitting there, and I was like, oh, okay. Learning on how leagues work, on who runs things. I was like, I want to do this. So one day I was like, yo, Knight, Toxic, if I make an organization, will you guys join? And they were like, hell yeah. And now that's the beginning of Wild Boys right there.
How many teams do you have in the beginning?
Okay, so in the very beginning of Wild Boys, I didn't understand on how necessarily comp worked. I thought as if I get 5 players, I have a team. I didn't understand that you had to have the best of the best, or they all had to be champ. So me, Knight, and Toxic decided to make 23 teams in Wild Boys when we first started. And half the team were coppers, half were like silvers, a couple plats. I think we had 1 diamond for 23 teams. And then, yeah, and then through then, we became more knowledgeable in the comp scene. And now, today, I'm pretty sure we have 12 teams.
So to also go off of that, is there like one player or a specific player or a specific team that helped you gain popularity?
Yes. So, are you guys familiar with the guy named Cosmic?
A little.
Okay. So, Cosmic, one day, I was sitting there on Wild Boys posting looking for org / players. I was going, hey, join Wild Boys. We're this and that. Well, Cosmic reached out, and his team at the time was called Code Black, and they were, in my opinion,
This bitch is crazy. Run it. Finally, little bit of a odd break to get in between, but we have our superstar teams, Redemption, X-Force, and Cody, who is apparently the maniacal villain he wants to be. But I find it entertaining. Who doesn't? And let's see where this goes. We have what should be a banger of a game, the last one to the end of our phase 1 for playoffs, and this will decide who should be going against Voltage, if I'm not mistaken. We already have all of our other games set. You have Wolves 5.2, and if I'm not mistaken, it'd be Dynasty, I have to check, but it is a hell of a bracket. 5.2 is scary. 907 is scary. Redemption looks very scary. NLG may be looking to make an underdog run. Maybe see if they can beat 619 for having one of the craziest runs to a playoff ever. You never know with them. Truly, it's always up in the air. You can always see something like that. But odds are certainly not in their favor. Overall, bans are going to be relatively normal, I think. I don't think we're going to see any big standouts here. You're going to expect your basic, except for a Brava here, maybe expect a Maestro instead. A little bit more mechanical utility. A lot of Melusi play, possibly. Valkyrie, so at least something. You're trying to make sure those cams stay open and create a little bit of chaos if you can. Not a crazy thing. You're going to maybe try to get some anti-drone in here. Limit Redemption, which isn't a bad idea here. They're a very good team when they have ops like Twitch, Brava on the board, and get rid of one maybe.
Attackers need to locate and defeat.
Isn't going to solve all the issues, but it might help. Overall, NLG have had a bit of an odd path to get here. Obviously, they came in at the middle of the season to replace a team, and after squeaking out a win that was a little bit unexpected here, we see them in the playoffs and with a chance to go a little bit farther than I think anyone truly expected. There's always something to show for that, and I think even getting here is a bit of a testament, and I think at this point, if it feels like it's a rookie team. You didn't even expect to really get this far. You've gotten, you know, your minimum, and everything past this is truly just, it's extra icing on the cake.
5 seconds to insertion.
OP is glad to take what he can get here, but if he can upset what should be a front runner, in my opinion, for a grand finals team, maybe not on the level of the big four, you know, 907 Redemption. Well, I could see 907 Redemption go at it and be a close run. Besides the way we see Cody, who is in his maniacal villain mood, but everyone else is relatively normal. Generally, I think we're just going to see a very slow and basic first round here. Just making sure you feel safe on the board. No real reason to try to break the bank and do something crazy now. You get your footing as a team, and I think there's no real surprise to that. We do see a bit of a second floor play, so maybe a feint from NLG trying to see if they can maybe win on one of the more secondary sites. Not a bad option. Certainly a questionable one. You see the first pick go the way of NLG, surprisingly. And we see two go off. Dre grabbing Swirtle. One of the top players right now in the entirety of the league. Arguably one of the few players I'd say is truly locked for finest with, if I'm not mistaken, a little bit more than a 1.37. Fitz got good cams here, knows a lot of intel, and he can use this pulse to kind of just keep giving his team comms, feed them these good positioning, give them a pretty big advantage for whatever fight they do decide to take. But I think at this side, you don't really want to take anything because you're just going to give up picks like that to Dre. You don't want to lose bodies here. You want to just keep your numbers, keep as much as you can, and try to make it easier for yourself. Jaws gets one, but he does go down here, so he should be fine to get up, but a long trade held from Glad. And a botch C4, but at the end of the day, you just need to keep your numbers here. Do not let it get back to even game. Good comms, at least. You had the shot. You had your big chance there to get a free pick and tie the numbers back up, but you whiffed. And now it's going to cost you where you can't even truly guarantee yourself that pick anymore. You might get a little bit of feet damage, but despite that, Lad stays committed on the buck and grabs a much-needed pick, ties it back up 2-2, and you really just need to look for a good one here. Cody finds it. Down to Fitz here in a 2v1, 30 seconds on the clock, so he can certainly try to stall for a plant, but he's going to have a lot go in his favor. Cody going for a plant could be hard to deal with. There's a lot of players here that are very, very good, and I think Fitz at minimum has a good shot here, but it all depends on if he's looking the right direction. Damage comes out. You might get a trade, but Redemption, despite going down, clean it right back up, and big first round from them. Certainly a bit surprising you see the picks go the way they did. I mean, normally you don't see a team able to even come back from a deficit like that, but once again, you have a lot of great players on Redemption. You have a lot of MVP candidates, people that you could truly see winning it all, and I think there's no real surprise where we're going to see games and rounds where they can truly just climb back, and it's going to feel inevitable sometimes beating them. I think NLG really have to prove themselves in another path here. They're going to have to either come strategically, mentally, maybe they have to play this long game, but if you just try to go straight up and play traditional against a team like Redemption, you're going to get wiped.
To locate and defuse bombs.
I think they know that as well. I'd be more surprised if they didn't. Overall, a relatively surprising opening round, and I guarantee you one Redemption is glad to take in their hands, despite how shaky it looked at the beginning. I think now, though, this is the big kind of you have to prove yourself on the more traditional site. You went for a bit of an oddball. It didn't work out in the end, but you didn't pick your main site. You didn't pick your top floors. There's still a lot of merit here if you can just do better on this second site. That alone would be a big help. Oh, my God.
5 seconds to insert.
There we go. Cam's back and ready. I don't know why it has been so aggravating trying to work with this game sometimes. Siege X might look amazing with the new lighting on those new maps, but it has its issues aplenty. Despite that, we still see for the second time in a row, surprisingly, what I'd assume to be a TK. And with context, it would make a lot more sense. Candidates, people that you why are there so many? It's 5 minutes of ads per the entire hour. I've made it to the minimum. I don't know why people, like, I genuinely am not touching the ads anymore. I gotta lower it. Hold on. I'm gonna see if I can lower it. Despite apparently the very odd ads, we do see a TK come out from sprays where some bad blood right now on the team of Redemption, as Cody has decided to make his own team after this, and I think Sprays might be a little angry with that and some other drama going in between round to rounds. Do see obviously picked it right, tied right back up by ITQC. Great player here, started great so far, and able to find another, just simply sitting on the rappel, waiting, and his patience is rewarded with a big kill. Despite the TK and internal issues, once again, it's going to be hard to beat a team like Redemption. Even with their disadvantages, they're still a strong team. Overall, though, I think it's, once again, you cannot count out any team in playoffs. You can truly never know, as things can happen, and upsets certainly do exist. Saw one with the Monarch's Alchemist. It's not like it can't happen, but you're really gonna have to see something special here if you do want to get a big win, maybe. Fitz at least tries to make it a little more possible. Sorry. You are getting damage. Ladder and Squirtle, two of the best players in the league right now alive. One of them might be a sub and maybe not as well known, but you still see a lot of value come from Squirtle every game. This would be a big position to prove it, where if he can just find one here, give him something to work with. You're going to see Fizz, you're going to see Glider just keep trying to trade these shots, find that pick to give them the advantage and isolate that last man, but nothing's coming easy here. You're going to have to play perfect. It's not going to be given to you, and damage at least being traded. Grim here trying to work his way up, see if he can just find something. Squirtle's showing aggression here, but time's going to wind down if you're not careful. You have to watch your clock here. You find one, but it's only 10 seconds left. It's back to 1v1. You're low. And it might have looked shaky. It might have had some questionable parts, but NLG came here to play. I don't know why the ads are so crazy right now. I need to fix that. Ads are killing me today. Apparently they've been issues, and I don't know why. It's supposed to be like 5 minutes on the hour, and they're supposed to not be in the beginning. I don't know. I gotta figure it out. Because it's killing me. I don't know why. I just genuinely don't. But despite that, we are still seeing a relatively good start. I think NLG are going to have to come into their own here, and it's probably going to take a couple rounds to truly see them get into a bit of a groove here, because you have to just truly think, I think, more outside the box, and you have to go for these better trade sort of plays, because direct fights aren't going to be your way of winning. But if you can grab crosses, refrags, more complex ideas, and try to make that game more complex, there's certainly a chance for NLG, but There's a lot they're going to have to do here. With this being Redemption's map pick, obviously, you would expect a win here, but at the end of the day, the other sites aren't exactly crazy. You're hating on him, man. I think you're hating on Glad. No, he's not going to exactly light up the world, but he's a reliable sub player. He has good stats when he plays, and he doesn't always need to. And that's fine. I think that there's truly value in that. Overall, I think we're going to see a little bit slower of a round start with so many fast opening picks early on and TKs galore. I think there's just going to be a little bit of calm here before the storm where I think you need to find that if you're a team. NLG would be glad to find it, but instead they find a very early pick here getting sprays, and I think certainly a good player to have here. You get rid of one of the supports, you get rid of a lot of utility off the board, and it gives you a little more to work with. I think at minimum, you do have a lot of value you can provide here if you're Valkyrie. Maybe that comes in some intel causing a kill, but at the end of the day, you have a lot you can work with here. And with 2 picks up, only a minute in, and NLG look at least very ready to play. And I think that with some internal discourse going on, it would not surprise me if NLG finds the right time to strike here and they're able to just pull it out. Bro, Bilo, I would have added you to the cast if you literally just waited for me to answer. Because I was going to say yes when I thought about it, but damn. Are feisty about the co-cast. Luck next time is there are going to be quite a few games I'll casting, and feel free to come to the others. But for this one, I want a little bit of a solo, a little bit more just me, because I've had quite a few other co-casters, and it can be nice doing it by yourself. Cody finds a big one there. Trying to get the numbers back up, and there might be discourse, but you can still count on the other players here. ITQC, statistically a top 15 player, if I'm not mistaken, with a 1.45 KD. Truly been amazing in the games he started. In a 1v1 here, you're down to 2 players, but despite being in the same position as round 1, we see a big play there from Fizz, and you might have your players going for doubles. You might have a lot of truly amazing things going your way, but you still got some good players here. You still got a chance to maybe go for an upset, maybe go on a run and see if you can truly try to become the next underdog. It's not going to be easy. Let's not give it up. And I think you're really going to have to show something different here. You're going to have to beat arguably one of the best fraggers right now in ITQC. You're going to have to beat a top 10 player, I'm pretty sure statistically right now, with Squirtle. And there's a relatively good bench here. Sprays might have had a bit of a slow start, but overall, I think it's still a team you have to be very worried about. Yeah, I don't know. These BO3s, it astonishes me that people try to schedule them this late. I get that there is work, but like, genuinely right after I come home from work, I either cast like 95% of the time. I'm saying, you gotta schedule it earlier. Like,
Attackers need to locate.
I genuinely think that, I don't know, some people, like, I don't know, people play so late into the night. I cannot get it. I once saw a BO5 genuinely trying to be scheduled for 10 p.m. I don't know how crazy you are mentally, or if you're just like a caffeine addict. But I do have sleep. I might be a teenager, but I do actually have a not 9 to 5, but I still have a part-time job. I am not about to literally just spend the entirety of my time casting. And some people want these crazy late, games, and I'm like, damn, dude.
10 seconds remaining.
You never know. Damn, some serious hate in the chat. Feisty day today.
Objective is to defuse a bomb.
Hey, at least there's always some fun in the controversy. I think the only big surprise here is a bit of a slow start from Squirtle, which should be a relatively expected big player here, but instead Strike at least finds the big first one there, but Squirtle and everyone is closing around him. You gotta be so careful in a situation like this because you might find one, but the aggression that Redemption can apply, I think, is just something that is almost unmatched. And we're seeing that. We're seeing that in terms of straight aggression, it's gonna be hard to really beat them here if they go for these big, fast plants.
Attackers have recovered.
It's gonna be hard to stop, and you might have smokes to at least delay it. You might have a little bit to work with, but Lad's gonna find another, and with site relatively well controlled, a plant is certainly not without the question here. You gotta deal with a lot of players here. It's a 3v1, but you still have smokes. With 2 minutes left, you're really gonna have to hope for a miracle here from Dead. Nades galore and a pre-fire realistically. You have to be perfect, and you're gonna have to see a pretty big throw here, in my opinion, from the side of Redemption, as they're not gonna just give this up. Squirtle just keeps holding his angle. Gotta have the respect for it. Sometimes you don't need to play these flashy plays, but you know, you hold what you need and you catch a good round there after a very, very aggressive play. I think a bit of a statement piece for Redemption that they still got to prove that they're on, they're still the top team here, because you would not look at the 11 seed here of NLG and assume that they're the 11 seed. It's a 2-2 game. The dominance hasn't been there at all. Entries are even. Plays don't look like they're crazy far apart. I think there's still hope for this team, and I think that NLG, even if they lose and they go to 2-1 here, they'd be glad with that. They'd be glad to just show out and say, hey, we got here. We weren't even expected to get here, but we still did fine. We still put up a good fight,
Locate and defuse
and, we'll be glad to come back next season and, prove that we can go farther. I think that's currently how Senate looks. It's how a couple of the, upcoming teams are playing, and, you know what I mean? You cannot expect the 5.2s, the new guys, to be built in a day. Got to start somewhere, and NLG may be looking to have a big leapfrog here. Be a bit of a surprising one, but everyone loves Opie, in my opinion. I'm pretty sure he's pretty well received. Very chill dude, if you ask me, but he's gonna need to prove that he's also an amazing team leader, and I'm gonna need to see some Optimus Prime level leadership here, because the straight gun differential is out of this world.
defuse a bomb.
Unless I'm starting to see, Captain America level leadership, we'll see. Because there's a lot you gotta make up for. There's a reason they're the 11 seed, and we can certainly see more of it. It's all within a question. And once again, when in doubt, you'll see Squirtle on that shotgun. I'm pretty sure this is the most infamous thing ever. When he is playing in a game, the Legion shotgun, or the Legion ban rate, goes up by 25%. That alone. He is genuinely the most why is there so many ads? Redemption has had a couple of issues, if I'm not mistaken, with a handful of things, but extreme aggression from Redemption. Cody finds 2, Squirtle with another, and should be over real quick as the shotgun rush play said maybe we're not going to be the better strategy team, but we can still shove it down you with... God, that sounds awful. We can still show some aggression here. Use your shotgun. Use your better aim. Yeah, I don't know what the ads are from. There has been some issues, I'll give you that, within the team of Redemption. It has been a very up and downhill. Most of it is a beef right now between Cody and Sprays, but
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs.
at the end of the day, I think that we're not going to have any comments on the beef, but what I will say is I think if you are a 5, I think you need to stay, you need to commit to that 5. You need to show up, be equals, and you win together, you lose together. That's also coming from the T3 coach in me. This is console, and we have very different ideals a lot of times. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. However, Redemption looking to maybe see if they can find an even a half after, I think, what was expected to be a bit of a blowout, if I'm not mistaken. If I pulled a prediction poll right now, I bet the numbers would look something like 90% leaning towards Redemption here from map 1. We're seeing at least a good fight here from NLG, and I think there's at least respect for that. But At the end of the day, you are going against a bit of a monster here and a team that I think everyone expected to have a bye. I think if you were truly to think about it, you would not think Armani would have a bye over Redemption. It's not a hate on Armani at all. It's simply just, I think we see Redemption as a very big superstar team. Sprays might be playing a little bit washed right now, but he's still a Hall of Famer for a reason. You still got a lot of top 15, top 25 players here, I'd argue. Cody finds the first one here. Once again, just showing this extreme aggression, gladly willing to try to take these first gunfights, and a confident team like Redemption right now could be very dangerous come, you know, second round, despite whoever they play against. Whoever wins this game should play against Voltage in what will be the quarterfinals, and I think Voltage is arguably the fastest rebuild we've seen from a team ever. And without really Pickles doing much, to be fair. He generally wasn't that great on Voltage, but we saw Gotti as a rep kind of perform out of his world, and good for him as a bit of a rookie rep there. But picks go out. We see one from Gladder, one from ITQC, and as it stabilizes in a 5.2, this round is all but over, as maybe you can pull a miracle here. Maybe you can find 2-3 picks out of the middle of nowhere, but sight is not in your control, really. A post plant looks inevitable, and 3 down in a post plant isn't exactly a mission for success. Now down 4. You can maybe pad the stats a little, maybe look at a little better, but Redemption finally starting to kind of come into their groove here, and a flawless round to end the defensive half. As we see, now we get to see Redemption go on that defense, see what they can pull out. Overall, a much better half. Damn, I'm so aggressive. So feisty. So unhappy today. Yikes. All right. I am not owing anyone 20 bucks. I don't bet on games like these. Grand finals? I might put some money on that. I'm pretty sure. Can I even do that in the caster? We'll see. If I cast grand finals, I'm pretty sure I genuinely probably shouldn't do that. Just like, there's got to be some rule there. But if I'm not, maybe I throw 30 bucks on a wager. You never know. I'm just throwing it out there. But we do see a bit of a normality ban. Once again, Mira is statistically the second best op in the entirety of Cafe, only behind Azami, which I'm assuming will be the second ban here. Ace has, what is it? We're on a 94% ban rate. I'm pretty sure it'd be more likely for my mother to come back before we start to see Ace become unbanned. So good luck if you're an Ace main. God, bless your soul, because you ain't playing shit. But we'll see. At least we're going to see what is surprisingly a third floor play, despite having 2 of the main ops gone. No castle either. So you are well, okay, we see it picked there, but still, it's a very hard site to play here because you don't have a lot to protect you. You have castles, which is something, but that's not a lot in a site that can ridiculously rely on, you know, having layers upon layers of utility. You're not going to have much utility. This might obviously work in the favor of Redemption, where I'm pretty sure they'd be glad to skip the utility part, go straight to gunfights, and try to win those out, but still a bit of a risky play. I am not paying nobody out. That's also one of the assumption I have like 20 bucks in my checking account. Chalk it. That's not true, actually. We'll see. Overall, though, I think a bit of an expected start from everyone else. Sprays is currently a donut, but hey, listen, sometimes we all gotta have our donuts. It's gonna happen. And you're at 4-2, and you have arguably one of the best role players, technically, by ITQC, where no one's gonna really think of him as, you know, this godly player, but he's secretly putting up top stats here. He's secretly, I think, like a top 12 player, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's number 12. Squirtle is definitely, I think, higher on that list. Would not be surprised if he's like 4 or 5, something around there. It's just how he plays. He's generally been relatively good, but I think this season has been a big step up Mostly to the fact that this man has decided to crutch the losing shotgun. I'm pretty sure he has like a 1.7 KD on this thing. This feels a little bit ridiculous at this point. He's not ever beating the allegations of being shotgun made. No, shotgun improved. He's like a more tolerable version of Jinxie. Because instead of saying ball right, I'll just have a voice crack. No hate though. We love her. Not gonna say that. He's an enjoyable person to talk to. We still have a relatively entertaining player in him, and I think overall I'm a little bit surprised that Gladder is performing as he is. 2 KD so far, and being a bench player normally means you'd be pretty miserable, but the hate is not really, I think, a big thing for him. He's still good at his job. He stays quiet. He does what he needs. He's very reliable. I think that they're glad to have a player like that who can kind of just show up when he needs, and when they don't, they don't. But we do see a big drop from NLG, and it's all going to come down to Gladder here. You're going to need to find one. No, evens those numbers right back up. Sprays finds another, and finally, donuts no longer from anyone here. Sprays finds that one. Gets traded. ITQC gets absolutely domed. Sprays looking to hopefully end with not a donut. And maybe a 1.0 KD if he's lucky. He has at least experience to know that it's in the corner, but Ladder finds it, and so far we're seeing a generational game from your bench players. Hey, respect the bench warmers. Okay, this is why you respect them, because sometimes they're going to go crazy. All respect to them here. I tip my overlarge Gatorade bottle to your benches, your role players, your 7th mans. It's like a backup kicker. You know, they're showing up. I think as a team, you're glad to have them. I think a lot of those players are generally very nice. They have to be when they're on the bench every time. But we'll see what NLG can do here. They are 3 rounds down, so not looking as good as you'd hope. But hey, never count out a team, especially not in playoffs. I did the same thing with Monarchs and assumed it'd be a beatdown from Alchemist, but that came back to bite me. So we're not going to do anything after that. It could be Voltage against 907, and I'm still not counting Voltage out, and they could go down 6-0. Sure, we saw Alchemist go win 5 straight. Really out of the question at this point? No, it does not. However, I do think Monarchs winning is obviously probably the upset of the entirety of the playoff bracket. NLG could very well top that if they win this year, but I think the fact that Monarchs even got close to winning, nonetheless actually winning a 2-0 game against Alchemist is kind of the astonishment. However, it doesn't help when your team kind of struggles. You do need DCAG to not be bad in his first part. Yeah. Teams are bounced around in my head right now. I've casted all but one playoff game, and the team names and stats are mind-bogglingly. I'm like, they're all coming together into one big slurry. And my own formula, which is just nerdy as hell. But we do see one of the very few common uses of Aurora here on Cafe is to give yourself a little bit of space. You can work with something here. Gives you something to do, and Squirtle, Charlie Whirly, maybe looking to see if he can find one here. He's gonna have to pre-fire and spray. He might find at least one, but there's quite a few bodies in there. He's gotta be very careful. That's gonna be closed right back down, and we're gonna see a rush come in from one. Squirtle finds another. He might be able to get a good cutoff here. They rush in. It's no longer that safe of a position as you got Squirtle sitting in the corner. A window hop in would be detrimental, but if I see a Yang chucked up, maybe not. Aurora goes down, and Jaws might know, but can he pre-fire the right direction? Can he truly understand? And I'm gonna do no Below slander today. We not like that. Squirtle, though, does find the triple on the round, and maybe he's searching for that ace to end it and go to match point. However, that's stolen from him as a TK comes out, and you do have one player on the side of NLG who is putting in that work, trying to make it, winnable, but this is not looking like a round that's going to go their way. A 2v1 with your MVP candidate and one of the best role players in the entire game, who's still top 10 statistically. I'm going to have to check the stats on that, but I'm almost positive he's like number 10, 11, 12. Is it Madman? Squirtle, maybe looking for one, but gonna have to find it. He does, and it's gonna be a quad for him on the round, and we see a match point from Redemption. That's what I'm saying, man. You can never truly count on a team. Armani, I am still astonished that they lost. No, it's Alchem. Hold on. Now I'm tripping. I think Moan Chat's tripping me up. Chalk it. I swear to God, it was... Now I gotta look, because I'm not sure. It was Alchemist. Yeah, okay, so I'm not crazy. Yeah, I thought it was... No, Armani has a bye, and it makes 0 sense. We do see a timeout come out from X-Force. One of the... Actually, not that true. We do see the timeout rate spike way up towards playoffs as one of the highest. So, no big surprise. Fun fact. Despite, this entire team being relatively good, on one specific map overtime, on layer overtime, they are worse than humbugs. I'm just saying. Will it ever go to a layer? Probably not, but that is your fun fact for the day. Damn, you're so aggressive. To be fair, they don't play it too often. There's a reason for that, but... just a thought. There's a reason it's one of their insta bans. If I'm not mistaken, it's their first or second ban like 99% of the time. Not a big surprise. There's a reason they're not good on it. They don't even practice it. They don't play ranked on it. They ban it every time. It's just by second nature, and some teams have that. You have like your Virtus Pros, their map pool is not large, but bans generally try to help alleviate that. And I mean, when you're as good as they are, sometimes you're going to work with what you got. NLG, though, if I'm not mistaken, is one of the only teams that are negative to be in playoffs. Yeah, they are 3-4, only with the Monarchs next to them. Everyone else is positive. Excuse me, so is... You can be 3-4 and get in the playoffs, that is wild. Mostly just because the Order decided to forfeit the only game they could not forfeit, and it bit them in the ass. They could have had it all. They could have had what would have been a top 4 seed, if I'm not mistaken. But Jeff Sicko doing anything else other than playing Siege, and the team kind of collapsed because apparently they don't have any subs. Any subs that actually exist. They're like the Twilight Zone. They're like technically there, but you don't ever want to use them. Also, Void got their way in with probably one of the most astonishing comebacks, as no one expected Void to come into playoffs. I'm pretty sure people would have rather see, like, people had, if there was an over-under, I think Zave was more expected. Not even a hit on Void, it's just their record did not look good. This will also be the first playoffs, if I'm not mistaken, ever in the history of SSL where we're not seeing the core of Obey. They've been under different team names, different orgs, but that same team has always sort of been together and in playoffs is easily one of the most dominant. This will be the first time they're not. Dead finds the first pick here in a pretty important round. They find two is Dre's putting in some work, a bit of a hopeful effort to try to committee their approach on the entry. Cody makes sure it stays close, gets the kid on the rappel, Dead's down, and while it's certainly not looking down quite yet, you have a lot of hope. Gotta make sure you win this fight if you're Ash, or you need to try to not tie back up, you need to try to make sure you keep your advantages. You're being closed in on, they certainly know where you are, and the bullets galore come out as both sides trying to find something. Jaws maybe looking to clean up Squirtle, but I'm pretty sure this will be one of the most mismatched head-to-heads if we're ever seeing a gunfight between the two. Or you're gonna have to be pretty important if you want. You're gonna have to do insane if you want to win this one. There's not a lot going in your favor. And with easily one of the better wall bangs, he finds it. Redemption looking up on their match point here is everything is looking just towards what it needs to be. But we're not seeing it over quite yet. We're seeing a little bit of hope. We're seeing a little bit of fight. But beating Cody and Squirtle in a 2v2 is actually miserable. Squirtle finds 3, maybe looking to be close to his record with him only being 3 off. He dropped 16 in it. No, he dropped like 20 something in a game once. That was a while ago in SSL, but 1 player left. All you got to do is not throw here. Scored will make sure that does not happen, and you might have had a good start, but Redemption got in their groove, and you got destroyed on their pick. Redemption wins 7-2. Once we get that scoreboard, we'll be going to a map break.
This is Sprays, and this is the Counting Cards Podcast Week 1. Today we have with us Brian from Wild Boys. The
Hello.
leader. Let's start simple, though. Who are you?
My name's Brian. I am the CEO/chairman of the Wild Boys organization/LLC.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Let's look to the past.
Okay.
So how did you start the org? How did it come to be?
How did I start the org? Well, funny enough, one day I was sitting there with a group of friends at this place called Twin Peaks, and one of my friends mentioned Jinxie, and I was like, Jinxie, who the fuck is that? So they pulled up his Twitch, and we were watching him, and he said something about like a $50,000 like game. I was like, what? There's no way. So me going into Discord and going around, I went through the main R6 server on Discord, and then I got recruited by forgot what org it was, but some small org where me, Knight, and Toxic, or when we get farther into the podcast, they'll become relevant, recruited me to go play with them. Well, we joined this org together, and we were sitting there, and I was like, oh, okay. Learning on how leagues work, on who runs things. I was like, I want to do this. So one day I was like, yo, Knight, Toxic, if I make an organization, will you guys join? And they were like, hell yeah. And now that's the beginning of Wild Boys right there.
How many teams do you have in the beginning?
Okay. So in the very beginning of Wild Boys, I didn't understand on how necessarily comp worked. I thought as if I get...
And we're back with what should be a banger of a map 2. Hopefully, you do have one of the better maps for both these teams. Redemption and get to have defense on NLG's map pick of Clubhouse, a very default, basic map. You know your numbers, you know what you're playing, you know what you're going against. You just got to win, and that's going to be a very, very hard task for NLG, who really want to get to that map 3, get a map on the board, maybe get even. A close game here would certainly help. Overall, I'd be more surprised if we don't see the Cade and Castle go. I'd expect an Azami, maybe. Azami would probably be one of the most paramount ones we'd see here. So we see the Cade first. Maverick is also an amazing option. I want to guarantee your wall if you go to CCTV here. So that is generally the 3-site rotation. But you got to be very careful, as there's not a lot you can afford to lose. Normally you're going to see the Azami here and then Castle on that final ban. But it is up to the person themselves. That is generally why you'll see Jim first in high-level play, especially in after CJX. So then come around to site rotation, you can ban it. Actually, give me a second. Surprisingly not, though, which means CC is now a very viable site. You do lose the Mirror. Mirror tricking. She's strong on CCTV. She's strong in gym bedroom. She's strong on literally every single site, even bar and stage. Not a real big surprise. Not any surprise at all, actually. As I think it'd be more surprising if we do not see them go CCTV at least once in that map rotation. If that happens, we're going to have serious issues as a team. But you never know. Maybe we see some crazy plays. Maybe we see them not go it and go for like
Attackers need to locate
a maniac play. To each their own, you know? Sometimes you gotta experiment. Do I recommend it? No, God, no. That's my point. OP, you're fine. We love you. No, I love you. You're an enjoyable rep. You're like the easiest person to schedule with, and it makes everything you do enjoyable. God forbid. Oh my God. We're not shit talking no reps here. We are a rep-friendly channel. I am sorry for all of you that have to deal with that, but if you do your job amazing, I love you. No, it's crazy. Saying to the owner of the team is wild shit. I respect it. I respect the hate. That's the kind of hate I gotta learn to have in my life. Sometimes we gotta be haters. We do see Squirtle on the roam with the Scopos. One of the most annoying ops on Clubhouse if you're not ready for it. As you can see, one op snake away. And what you'd hope to be a long, an easy roam to clear could very well turn into nothing. A very risky play here coming out of Squirtle. Dropping garage side instead of just running away. He is spotted, so they made him know he exists. It's not like he's just an enigma anymore. And apparently the drone netting today is beautiful, as they're very, very aware if he is. They know it's Scopos to this point with that robot sound of walking. And you at least know what you're working with here, but at the end of the day, they might decide just not to even clear the Scopos here. Ignore it entirely is certainly an option. Maybe not the one I'd expect, but there's no one directly here to impact Trick. This might be a bit of a throw. ITQC is not in this hatch, which could have been stopped by Cody, is entirely ignored, which could be a big throw in my opinion if you're giving up a hatch that easily. You do have your impacts. I know you do. So does Sprays, but he's obviously in a little bit more of a precarious of a position. Playing a bit of an all or nothing roam. But, hey, let's have some fun in here. You have your one map up. Pretty dominant one at that, and maybe a little bit of new plays in here. Is never a bad thing. First pick, once again, goes the way of NLG. They might not be able to win these rounds, but they're certainly good at getting the first picks, but it's traded right back up by Gladder. The sub player is back in. Finds two off of it, or at least finds the double. C4, beautiful one from him. Good reaction time, and the Madman's going to sit on the hatch, despite the fact that he has a shotgun in hand. There is Guts, and then there's this. Sprays does find one from that long-winded roam. A lot of pressure closing in. Dead does at least find one, but you are low if you are dead. That is like 10 HP max. You are not tanking anything. An impact is taking you out. Cody's pistol could take you out. A leg shot from any of these guns would take you out. A pellet of a shotgun. You are as low as you can get, folk. And that is terrifying, because that means that anything they do will damage you. A fire pipe is detrimental. If it hits you once, I'm pretty sure you just die. You do at least find a bit of surprising one there. ITQC, I think, being a little aggressive, and this one should be all but over as long as you don't throw. Cody has a good angle on the hatch, and damage is found at least, but I don't think they're going to give up much more than that at this point. However, if we do see an aggressive play, Cody finds it before we see Glad run his way up, but I think a great round for Redemption, but at the end of the day, I'm more surprised. Gladder's putting up an amazing performance as the sub player here. I think this might be his legacy performance to show. Maybe I'm not worth the sub spot. Maybe bump me up. Hey, it's certainly a point to make at this. He's currently been top, very, very good in both of his games so far. At least starting off this one. The 8-5 stat line is nothing to scoff at. Third on a leaderboard. You can do a lot worse. And honestly, as a sub, I applaud it. I applaud the bravado to get, to that. Sometimes you don't need to break the world. You just need to be reliable, and looks like that's his plan today. But a double here and there would certainly help. Overall, looks to be a very standard play, despite the one big deviation, which at this point I think would be more astonishing if we don't see it. You see it. You see what Squirtle's doing. We know what he's doing at this point. I'm pretty sure this is his signature annoyance move, which is run that Legion shotgun, baby. He loves it. and it works relatively well. So there's no real reason to stop it. Good lord, do you hate it if you're playing against it. I hate it. I've had to play against it once and I hated it. It's miserable. Don't ever do it. Just ban the Legion away at that point. I'm not even kidding. It's worth the ban. It's that miserable. I'd rather bring a Thatcher for the hatches. Is that a ridiculous thing to say? Maybe, but... eh. Also, for context, I had to get the stats up. Squirrel has a 1.7 KD through 7 games. Absolute madman. If I'm mistaken, that is the best KD in the entirety of SSL. Which puts him on a good pace to be the MVP candidate. I'd argue that makes him the best player in the league. By stats-wise, at minimum he is, and I think in his positioning, he's still performing that well. I'd argue he's at least very simply up there. Other players that are at that top of the leaderboard in terms of KD, we see people like ISO, DCAG, ITQC. They 1.65 KD. Good lord, this team has some of the highest in the entirety of the league globally. And I don't know why that made a falling sound when he was repelling. I haven't seen that one, I'll be honest. Overall, I think it's been a relatively basic start. But maybe NLG are trying to see if they can find a sneaky one here in the ITQC from the hatch. I think you'd be a bit lucky to find some things as such, but hey, shoot for the stars and sometimes it'll work. Not tonight, as we see Sprays get the first one. A bit of a surprising. You don't normally see him dropping the entries, but when it's done, it's always nice to see, and he's going to grab damage as well. I mean, take what you can get and be glad you got it, because... you know, you're having one of your arguable hard support players doing pretty good here. Damage, he's maybe not going to get the kill, but it's something, and it certainly makes a delay. Is a minute left, and there is no control taken at all. Redemption have locked it down. There is some lethal level of just control here. And there's almost nothing you can do at this point, is unless we see a big throw from Redemption, you don't have enough time to take it all. If they barricade stuff down, you genuinely are going to have to spend half of that barricading. You at least tie it back up with Sprays getting a little too aggressive here, but you have one player down, and Jaws here is certainly looking very, very low. However, you're going to see Cody essentially pop off here with no health to work with, and can kind of be the Bastion to stop it all. He does at least find one. Squirtle finds another. Make that 2, and once again, oh my god. Once again, no one, and I repeat, no one loves that shotgun. I'm pretty sure I've seen people who have... I'm pretty sure people would rather have AIDS than deal with the shotgun. This shotgun might give you AIDS. Pause, not actually, but... you know. That is the most miserable gun, and one of the best players using it. It is actually going to make you want to bash your brains through a wall. I'm just saying. If I'm on a team, I'm banning that. Instead, we're going to see it not be banned. We're also going to see it lead to the demise, realistically. But you can hope. You can hope you see a little bit of hope in your team if you're on LG. Maybe you can find a round or two. Maybe you can sweep up something together, but...
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
it does not look likely, as realistically, unless we see a generational performance from, I don't know, maybe Fizz can pull it off. Maybe we see Fizz and Dre come together for a yin and yang, like, ethereal, universally, like, crazy connection. This one should probably be over if you are Redemption. Even on bad terms, as they are now, you're still going to see players perform well. It's not like we're seeing a bad team overall. However, I would certainly look forward to the next match, which, as of right now, it's looking it's going to be Redemption, Voltage. Two relatively good teams here, I think in very different positions, as we're seeing Redemption are a bit of a win now here. Same as AOT, if you remember that team from not all too long ago. But this is the win now mode, is this team is going to be gone, or at least a good chunk of the core is going to split up here, and that is a big question of what does that mean? Because then can that same team still compete come next season? Because it's possible they don't, and this very well could be their win or lose. I think Sprays here would be glad to see if he can finally collect a finals win here. see Cody grab a big one there. 5-0 on the map. Absolutely disgusting stat line, and I mean, maybe he's trying to see if he can break the oh-so precarious record that, if I'm not mistaken, I don't remember who it's held by at this point. That stat has been passed around like nobody else. The BO1 record. Or, sorry, one map record for kills. Squirtle certainly trying to grab some freebies here, it feels. This Legion shotgun is dangerous. I don't want to run into it. You don't want to run into it. Nobody wants to run into it. Cody taking a little bit of damage, but in a position with literally everything around him. And he will lose. He will finally not have a donut on those deaths. He'll have a French fry instead. Some big back activities. Food instead of numbers is crazy. It's a testament to how interesting I gotta make things when a game like this can certainly look a little bit uninteresting, uneventful. Hey, maybe you see something here. Seeing the role player Gladder pushes way far up. So instead we see him kind of come a little bit back to everyone else. He's bleeding out on the floor, and this much aggression on two people might actually cause more issues than it solves. Is they still have good cams here. It's not like they can't certainly win it here. Fitz grabs a big 2, and suddenly it's 2v1 because you actively kind of threw your bodies away. And now you're going to have to come into a pretty awful position, in my opinion, where Squirtle, who can certainly win these sort of things, problem is that he has a shotgun. All they have to do is hold their range. Is that going to be hard in a set like this? Yes, it is. You're going to have to certainly play a little bit more unique, but with 2 flashes in hand, you could certainly see something come together. All up to how well they play this, and they might not even know he's in the corner. And somehow he gets one of them from just a straight Legion mine, which, to be honest, that might be a bit of a first. You don't normally see that one happen in a 2v1, but crazy stuff happens in games like these. We see Squirtle win the round despite the disadvantaged numbers, and bit of a throw, in my opinion, from Redemption, who could not even fathom the idea of sitting still and holding your numbers. But you're up 3-0 at this point. This game isn't over quite yet, but those rounds in so far this game has looked to be looming over their heads, and it feels like any rounds here is really just stopping a doomsday clock. And finally, we see after 3 rounds of terror, the Legion is off the board. For once, Squirtle, Charlie Whirly, is not going to run a Legion shotgun. And then you get to the offense, and then he's going to run Nook. And then it's all over. Or Ying, and it's even worse. But Squirtle picks up the ACOG once again, because you take away one annoying item, he's going to make another. At this point, it feels a little bit like paradoxical. You'll never stop the annoyance of Squirtle, and there's a reason it's a 1.7 KD, because you either target ban him, and he's still good, or you don't target ban him, and then he's maniacal, and he takes out your entire team with one person. You can't win. At least not against Squirtle. I mean, he has a 1.7 KD in a league, so if that wasn't enough dominance, I don't know what is. By the way, that record I was talking about, that would be called the Spartacus record. I remembered my names. I did not have to look up, but it is held currently by Buddha all the way back in lower bracket finals. Or not lower bracket. D1 second. I have no idea. D1 secondary finals. I'm assuming that means semifinals? In the weirdest wording way possible. But I have no idea, to be entirely honest. And a huge whiff as he did try to exchange the shotgun for another annoying one, but instead, it's not the same. We see very minimal setup. Not really, well, we at least see the impact truck holes being made finally 30 seconds in, but if you wanted to see a bunker setup, that's what you're going to get. And we see that maybe they're learning as we see flashes, a Grim, and a Capitao. When in doubt, be more annoying than the next guy. I certainly just feel, what does X-Force have they can even win? If they don't win this round here, where they are sending everything at them, probably within the span of 25 seconds, I don't know when they will. You lose your Twitch in a really big one. You lose your Grim, which would certainly help lock down some of your corners. And we literally see Squirtle just run up. Just straight up run. And Dre just doesn't even see it. So maybe you find one here. You might grab an arm shot or two, but Sprays grabs one, Squirtle with the other, and a flawless round. And I'm not saying we can't see something, but I don't know if one round or a timeout is going to stop the bleeding here. And I think we will not even see a timeout, as I think they agree this is over. Come back, regroup. And, you know, let's push for next season or regular. Let's push for the next regular season, coming September-ish, and next season. Maybe I make a prediction, and if one person puts like one channel point on the odds, there is a slight chance you make a metric ton of channel points.
Many bombs as they can.
You never know. You never know. But the passion is drained from my voice, as you've currently seen, and the doomsday clock seems to be looming over. As nuclear war, or in this case, redemption voltage, looks imminent as ever, and maybe you can maybe you can at least get around here to, you know, make the round differential look a little bit lively. Those screenshots are at least a little bit more worthwhile to look at, and not. But NLG maybe had a chance at first map to make a statement and put themselves in this game. I don't see it down 4-0 though. Unless we see 2 flawless rounds from NLG, this one's probably over, folks.
Attackers recovered the bomb diffuser.
You know, screw it. We're making a new prediction. Entertainment, baby. Will NLG get a singular round? Just one. Five minutes long. There. Will No Life Gaming get a round? Or sorry, No Limit Gaming. Wrong thing. At least a couple of picks here. You do lose your shotgun player, as now that the Legion shotgun is gone, the thing that made him oh so annoying is also gone. This is actually an awful prediction. I'm gonna get yelled at so hard for this. Will a team get just one round? I feel like that's depressing to say and look at and believe. Hey, you never know. Maybe we see it. Maybe we see the legendary one round. Are going to see a much bigger step up here from Jaws and Dead, as they got to make up now a 3-body deficit, and you at least find one. You're maybe going to make your stat line even, or even better than even, maybe a little positive. What is that going to mean in the end? He at least knows he's close, but there's so much you got to watch. There's so much you could worry about as a team, and I don't see it. Sray's at minimum is deciding to sit on site. He knows there's no reason. If we lose one, it turns into a 1v1. I'd rather just hold the numbers and be safe. ITQC planning to absolutely run at that man. This is some Jeff Hardy WWE level running at him. And it works out his end. He grabs the first pick of the game for him. This has not been a slow one for anyone. It's just been a fast one. And we're seeing Cody and Squirtle take up all of the picks. Maybe not so much as now that Squirtle can't clutch his pearls and make everyone else hate himself. Hate him with a shotgun. You feel safe for just this little bit of time. As it's 5-0, the hope and morale is low for NLG. Hoping for a wishing star, some fairy dust maybe, Excalibur. You know some real normal things that could certainly happen to make this one a winnable thing. Optimus Prime comes to help lead you to a win. We see Bolo reincarnate himself into Dre and Fizz at the same time. We see the Spirit of Pengu come to coach his team back to victory. We see the core of Obey emergency sub their entire roster for the 5 of NLG. Certainly some amazing odds for NLG X-Force here.
5 seconds to insertion.
We'll see. Odds are always something you can look at. Stats certainly do not look good for them with, by my stats and my own oh so special formula, a 0.9% chance to win. So just below a 1% chance. You know, there's still that 0.9% chance you can pull it out. There's still a little bit something in there. Is it likely? Maybe not, but you never know. You know what I mean? You never truly know. Squirtle just staying on the wall as after 2 quiet rounds, he is now dedicated to, I'm assuming, just duty of doing nothing. Cody and Dead trade some shots, and or I mean, I'm seeing at least some life from NLG. Maybe it's possible we do see something here. No donut for them, and maybe Redemption are not going to have their dreams crushed with no flawless playoff game. To be fair, if you come out with a flawless playoff game, I'm pretty sure that'd be the biggest step up in terms of ego. So this might be better for them if they come back down to a little earth to some degree. You might find one, and it's a 1v3 for Sprays. The Hall of Fame player has a chance to keep the flawless stream alive, and maybe you truly do win 7-0, but there's a lot you got to do, and you essentially have to be perfect as they are all over you. They are swarming like flies. But apparently the Deagle's going to do it, and by some miracle, we see this being turned into a 1v1. There is no reason it should have been this close. This could have been a done deal. But instead, Sprays clutches a 1v3 with a Deagle in hand. A beautiful wallbang, and apparently Fairy Dust grows for Redemption with a 6-0 half. A 1v3 loss. So we're gonna go over match MVPs because I feel like this one's already over. Overall, statistically, I gotta put my spreadsheet here. Come on now. Oh, my spreadsheet's glitched. I guess we're gonna have to go off the scoreboard. Cody, obviously one of his best matches overall. We see him do amazing that first map. Very, very strong. Second map, obviously gonna be top fragger of the leaderboard here. We're seeing a very great performance from him looking into that next game. 26 kills with a round to go. Maybe he's looking to grab the elusive 30 in 2 games. That'd be pretty cool. Overall, or sorry, excuse me, he would be approaching 19 kills. Excuse me, I'm thinking about Squirtle. Had what could have been easily a generational performance, but that Legion shotgun ban, I'm pretty sure, upset him, and now he can no longer use his oh-so-favorite. I don't even know its name, honestly. I kind of forgot that shotgun existed, except when I'm casting Redemption, as every single time you either see, that shotgun be banned, or you see him drop 15. I'm not even kidding. That's genuinely one of the requirements, is you'll watch the Redemption bans, you'll see that shotgun has gone 95% of the time. I've even seen people take away the Nook. So he can't lurk around and play the annoying shotgun. It's that bad. It's that bad right now. It's truly in the trenches. I mean, it's not all hope lost. You at least have a couple of great players that are looking to maybe truly, ascend to that next level maybe next season. If they have a good offseason here. Fizz looking to be the best one here. 8-7 in the first map. Maybe able to go positive in the second one here, and a little bit of hope maybe in the next season. Dre also performed great that first map there. 8-9, but 1-6 so far, and what could have been at least a great, promising start for your roster does not look to be so today, as you at least have Dead, who improved into that second map. You have Jaws, who stayed stagnant, going 2-6 first map, 1-6 the next. But if you are Redemption at this point, you were looking onward. You were not looking into this game. I guarantee you their eyes are glazed over. They are going to try to clean this up because they have 6 runs to do so. They know what they're going to have to fight. They're looking towards Voltage, they're looking towards possibly semifinals where they're going to have to fight 5.2. You know, if they're really confident against Voltage. You're looking at that, and you're looking at what you know. You see, one of the most aggressive run-ins possible. Cody at least grabs the first, but traded right back up by Strike. I mean, you grab something here. It's not a bad grab. At least your numbers are going to look better on the stat sheet. Your entries are going to look a little better. He's on with 2, and his team might be going down, but he's going to go down swinging with a triple from him, and hey, what could have been a flawless game, a 7-0 sweep. As a minimum, going to look a little better. Strike going to pad those stats. And you might not win this one, but at least the leaderboard is going to look good for one of your players. As he is going positive, he's done it. You've done your job. Cheers all around. And no longer is it true. We see, for once, my prediction was right. They're not going donut, guys. They pulled it out. An astonishment by all. They grabbed around. They're not going 14-2. They're not going 14-3. And that'll be less bad than I think the worst record ever for a BO3. They have it taken away from them. If I'm not mistaken, one team went 14-1 against Obey, who didn't make a buy in like SXL, I want to say? That or 5.2 when they were under Homicide. Sorry, HMC. Back when that existed in console. So, you know, they're officially not the worst BO3 team ever. You can pat yourself on the back. There was something to look forward to. You're not the worst yet. You still got some improvement. And I think that either way, I guarantee you, Opie and his team, they talked together and they're like, dude, we got to playoffs. We weren't even expect to be close. We were a D2 team at the beginning of the season. We got promoted up. We got here. We're going to lose to Redemption pretty badly, and that happens sometimes, but you know, we came a long way. We didn't expect to come here. We expected to be in D2 playoffs, but instead we get to compete with D1 teams. You get to see that level, you know, see what you're going to have to live up to. I mean, you might not win this one, but at least you sort of get some experience to, you know, see the level you have to compete against. See what should be a relatively amazing team. Cody apparently putting on his MVP performance to prove wrong for Sprays. In which case, hey, be a hater all you please. It's entertaining. God, that's an awful sentiment. Dre finds the first pick. We're seeing the entries just over the entire game. It's still leaning towards NLG despite the ridiculous round gap so far. And what has been a relatively aggressive start. However, we're seeing, I think, more rounds than should be being thrown the direction of NLG here, possibly. It's not over, as you have Cody, you have Sprays, you certainly have the players to pull out a 3v5, but the team might be gone here. Opie, I'm sorry if you heard my comments about your team. I love you as a player, don't worry. And shots coming from, I don't actually know where. I think it's, yeah, we see it being from Glad there. Abashi from Sprays, and a 1v3 to possibly bring him very much positive. Maybe see if he can one-up Cody here, but this one looks like, for once, we're going to see actually a performance that is not even close to the worst. We've seen actually quite a few 14-3s in our time. Instead, we're going to see possibly a 14-4. But you know what? Good for you. You grabbed something. You're not exactly feeding off of the greatest thing ever here, but you know, you grabbed something to work with. Sprays is currently being denied his kill feed. He wants to pad those stats so badly. With 40 seconds left, you're going to have to find a pretty lucky one if you do find anything, but the down that he would love to make into a kill to pad, you know, get those stats up. Instead, it will not be so, and he could have been going a 2.0, but instead he's going to be going a little bit less than. Overall, this game, I think, should be over, but This is also the same thing we've seen where we saw Alchemists, who were down and battered in Night Haven map 1. Went down 6-0, won 4 straight. To a minimum, make it close and end into a very, very good map 2 where they lost. Is it possible? Certainly. I have seen crazier comebacks in my time. Hell, I've seen Obey not make playoffs. That alone is a miracle. Not even a miracle. That's like some black magic, Chiefs voodoo stuff right there. Nah, 5.2 hired a voodoo artist. They got tired of losing to them every single time in semis and finals. Said, you know what? We gotta get some Chiefs voodoo magic in here. We gotta get their artists. So it's not botched kicks. It's a questionable amount of forfeit wins. As they are one of the, I think, the only team in history to experience, I think, was more than 3 forfeit wins. Astonishing. And also a forfeit loss, if I'm not mistaken, too. Very odd team, statistically. Where, despite the fact they didn't make playoffs, they had easily some of the best players by the stats. And it just looks so wrong to look at. You'll see players who have ridiculous global KDs, who have some of the most ridiculous team stat lines and great costs. They just didn't do anything with it. And I think that this will be the first time and probably the last time we see Obey kind of not look like themselves. Cody, apparently, though, is glad with giving them some free rounds, giving them some free entries. I2QC, I'm assuming, is planning to capital it off, but my question is, what is he waiting for? Waiting for that Thatcher to go out. I thought they had a Twitch or something. I'm not going to cap. We do see the wall go out at relatively normal timing. You'd hope for that, but surprisingly, by true astonishment, 17 viewers who are watching. Maybe a comeback. Probably not, but maybe a comeback. Squirtle ties are right back up, and somehow one of the most ridiculous looks I've ever seen. I don't know how Gladder's here. He genuinely is walking his way up. He walked his way up rafters. This isn't even... That's like out of a fairy tale. He genuinely lurked up rafters with a Malusi there. That's coming out of, like, miracles. But in a 4v2, they gave him to Jaws. Might see if he can find himself another round. Make the stats look a little better. They 2v2 Dre and Jaws, hoping to maybe make it look a little better. Improve to not the worst record, just bad. 3-round differential. As it's possible, but Redemption would prefer to close it out here, and they played with their food a little bit. They made it a little bit farther away than it should have been, but at the end of the day, they close it. At the end of the day, you won your game. You did what you needed to do, and Cody, Sprays, and that core now move on to semi or quarterfinals against Voltage with a in-org rival. Now you get to look at your sights to quarterfinals. Should be a beautiful game. All starting next week. That'll be all for tonight.